I want to tell you about two books that will make you hungry for a hamburger and thirsty for a big gulp. The first book can explain the singularity of Jeff Bezos and Amazon through the story of a hamburger, and that book is Amazon Unbound, Jeff Bezos and the Invention of a Global Empire, written by Brad Stone. Before I serve up the hamburger, I want to tell you a little bit about Brad Stone, who is one of the most knowledgeable journalists alive writing about Amazon. In 2013, Brad wrote the best book on Amazon, The Everything Store. It was a widely acclaimed bestseller. It seemed unlikely that Brad would want to write a second book on Amazon, but so much has happened since 2013. The company has transformed itself. Jeff Bezos has transformed himself from a geeky Seattle entrepreneur into a kind of Fortune 500 action hero with bulging biceps and interests in Washington and Hollywood and even in outer space. In 2016, Jeff Bezos read an article in the Washington Post, and the article said that a hamburger frequently contains the meat of about 100 cows. Now that's an interesting detail, but most people probably would have moved on. He read that article and he decided to improve the hamburger. He called up the people at Amazon Fresh and he asked them to create a hamburger made from a single cow, and they created a single cow burger. And customers liked it, but Jeff Bezos didn't because he thought it was too fatty. So they found another ranch in San Diego with leaner beef. And Jeff Bezos was satisfied. He approved the hamburger. Now, obviously, that story is a perfect example of the voracious appetite that Jeff Bezos has, not just for food, but for global domination. Now, let me get to the big gulp. That's how I read Laura Dave's novel, The Last Thing He Told Me, in one big gulp. This novel rendered me immobile for the rest of the day. The novel is told from the point of view of Hannah, an artist who falls in love with a Silicon Valley executive, uproots her life, and moves to California. One morning, a stranger knocks at the door, hands Hannah a note from her husband that says, "Protect her." And it turns out that the husband has disappeared, where he works, is guilty of fraud, and he's on the run. It's an incredible premise, and Laura Dave takes you through it with such assuredness. Now, it reminds me a lot of the mother of all psychological suspense novels about marriage, and that novel, of course, is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Now, the thing about that novel, the genius of it, was that the married couple at the center of that book was so crazy that it made all the single people relieved that they weren't married, and it made all the married people relieved that their spouse wasn't that homicidal. I think that The Last Thing He Told Me is a much kinder and gentler kind of psychological suspense novel. The Last Thing He Told Me is a thrill to read, and you will finish it in one big gulp. And that is the word according to Karp.